Here's how to play Unhappy Campers. To set up the game, shuffle the playing cards and the action cards and place them in the center of the table. Flip up one card from the deck beside it to start the discard pile. Deal each player 5 cards to start. Then randomly choose one campsite card for each player, plus one additional card. Place these cards to the center of the table with their plastic stands so that everyone can see them. Place the campfire point cards and the extra campsite cards aside for now. The deck of cards includes playing cards numbered 2 through 13 and 9 different action cards. Action cards are used to create chaos or gain an advantage in the game. To win the game, you want to earn as many points as possible. One way you can do this is by building campfires, which are worth 1 point each. There's 3 different ways to build a campfire with your cards. Sets, which are 3 of the same numbered card. Runs, which are at least 4 cards of any color in a row. And suits, which are at least 4 cards of the same color. By the way, suits and colors refer to the same thing in this game. When you gather the cards for a campfire, for example a run of 4, you can play them in the table in front of you. Woohoo! You did it! Campfires are the main basis for building up points. The other way to earn points is by building campsites. The point value of the campsite is at the bottom right corner. The more difficult a campsite, the more points it's worth. To claim a campsite, you must be the first player to obtain the combination written on the card. In this example, it's 1 set of 3 and 1 run of 4. At the beginning of each round, several campsite cards will be placed in the center of the table. This is referred to as the campground. All players race to claim any of the campsites of their choice, but it's first come, first serve, so you better be quick. To build a campsite, you can use cards in your hand or cards you played in your campfires. It's important to know that you can also move cards around in your hand or your campfires to build campsites during your turn. When you're ready to build a campsite, set down all the required cards on the table in front of you, keeping the individual campfires separated. Then grab the campsite card from the center and place it next to those. Squatting is when you play a card on an opponent's campfire. For example, say you played a campfire with a run that ends in a 7 card, and your opponent has an 8. They may choose to squat on your campfire by placing their card beside your run on the table. For each squatter you play, you can draw 1 card or choose to make an opponent of your choice draw 1 card from the top of the deck. Once you've built your campsite, your mission is now to end the round by going out, which means getting rid of all the excess cards in your hand. This ends the round for all players immediately. To get rid of excess cards, you can play in your existing campfires, play on other opponents' campfires, build additional campfires, or play action cards. In this example, you already completed and claimed a campsite, but you still have a 10 and a 4 in your hand. Your opponent to the right has a campfire with a set of 4s. To go out, you could squat on their campsite, giving that player 1 card from the deck. Then you could discard your final 10 card to the discard pile to go out. Remember that you can only discard 1 card each turn. Now let's count up the score. Because you had a campsite and went out first, you get to keep the card and earn the points in the bottom right corner. If your opponent has a completed campsite but wasn't the first to go out, then they only earn 1 point for each separate campfire on the table. In this example, they would earn 2 points and get 2 campfire point cards to hold on to. They will place their campsite card back in the middle for the next round. When you start the game, the player at the left of the dealer goes first, then rotates clockwise. During a player's turn, there's 3 things they can do. First, the player can draw 1 or 2 cards from the top of the deck, or the first card from the discard pile. Second, the player has a few optional moves. They can build campfires, play an action card, squat on campfires, or make wild card swaps. I'll explain these last 2 later. Lastly, you must discard 1 card from your hand to end your turn. In summary, here are the main objectives for each round. First, you collect cards in your hands to build campfires. You can play them on the table, or you can decide to hold on to them. Second, you claim your favorite campsite. You can build on or use cards from your campfires on the table, or just use cards from your hand. Third, you can use action cards to attack or defend. This part's optional, but it makes the game more strategic and fun. Fourth, once you have your claimed campsite, your goal is to get rid of the cards in your hand and go out. This ends the round for everyone, and you count up the score. Here are some other key mechanics you should know when playing Unhappy Campers. There are also 4 wild cards in the deck. You can assign these cards to any number 2 through 13 that you'd like. These help you complete a campfire or a campsite. If you see a wild card on an opponent's campfire, you can swap for it during your turn if you have that correct card that meets the same campsite requirements. Woohoo! Some action cards in the game can be used to disrupt the player's campfires and campsites. For example, your campsite could be attacked by bears. Yikes! Now you no longer have complete campfires on the table. If that happens, the other cards must go back in your hand until you can rebuild your campfires. In addition, now your campsite card is no longer yours and must be placed in the center. After a round ends, gather all the playing cards and reshuffle the deck. Replace any of the claimed campsite cards with random new ones, and switch the dealer to the player on the left. That's it! Now you're ready to race for the best campsite. Have fun! That's all for now. You can find a full list of roles on the website www.unhappycampers.net. Happy camping!